Live from Richmond, Virginia, we welcome race fans, one and all, to more racing action for round number 3 of the iRacing Stock Car Association Tucson Sound Art Cup Series. My name is Nolan Rempel, and I've got Alfonso Dixon beside me in the broadcast booth with Rob Meldick down behind the cameras for tonight's running of the Napa 200 at the Richmond Raceway. So while we get set to slow things down a little bit more, the race at Circuit of the Americas 1 week ago left something to be desired when it came to the overall racing department. I have a feeling, though, we could be in for a pretty fun ride here tonight from Richmond.
Absolutely. You couldn't be more spot on, because if there's anything that tonight's race is going to prove that it's not going to be short of, and that's going to be some dynamic action. Nolan, we are back right now. Looks like we're going to finally get to go racing. We short track racing, right? On Saturday. What else could we ask for?
And of course, it's going to be kicking off a solid 3-week span of short track racing action. We start things off at Richmond, then we're going to be slowing it down even further to to Martinsville. We're going to be slipping and sliding as we get set to go dirt track racing the week after for the Bristol Motor Speedway dirt race over in Tennessee. And then we get set to speed it back up again over for some plate racing action at the Talladega Super Speedway. So there is a lot that is going to be that we're going to be able to look forward to in these coming couple of weeks. And I have a feeling that all of the people watching with us here tonight are going to be set to enjoy every single one of those races and every single lap of racing action coming on up in the next month or so. So qualifying is still currently underway. And there were only 9 cars that set times for a 22-car grid on Thursday night. Looks like there's a bit of a higher number total, at least a high percentage, as we've now got 10 drivers out of 14 that have set times tonight in Richmond.
Yeah, those guys definitely are they're gambling their own luck, I think, Nolan. They're just trying to get out front, where the fighting's hard, I guess, what you say, because this track was such a small field, I think it's going to spread itself out, which is going to lend us to probably a lot more green flag racing as qualifying does come to a close. What do you think we should be looking forward to in tonight's race?
I think we can look forward to some solid side-by-side racing action. We can look forward to be seeing some beating and some banging, maybe a couple of slips and slides along the way as well. But whatever happens in tonight's race, I can guarantee you that it's going to be a fast-paced and it will be a very, very fun 200 laps of racing action from the Richmond Raceway. Qualifying is about to wrap on up here, and I have to ask here, Al, who do you think could be set to win not just the race, but let's even talk about those first couple of stages, because obviously those first stages can be absolutely critical to a race.
Yeah, I have nothing right now, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to defer my option to the second half, and I'll let you answer that question as we get ready to grid for tonight's race.
It should be a solid run for us here tonight. Gonna put my bet on Noah Bitts for the time being, since he is our pole sitter, but of course, we'll see if he can carry that over to overall race pace. For now, we'll take a quick step away. It's time for the national anthem.
Drivers, start your engines!
So starting on pole position is going to be Noah Bitts with Chris Severa starting beside him on the front row for tonight's Napa 200. It's Ryan Strunk and Greg Wachinski on row number 2 in 3rd and 4th. Gary Adamson is going to be rounding out your top 5 with Kenny Powell down in 6th on row number 3. Row 4 holds Joshua Gaithright in 7th and Eric Kling down in 8th. Al Kozlowski and Brooks Durden on row number 5 will round out the top 10 here, Al.
And Chris Johnson is going to be in 11th with Paul Olson out by his side in 12th. Kyle Green secures that 13th slot with Frank Flores rounding out this 14-car field. Nolan, I think it is time that we put our toys away and go racing. I think this is going to be an awesome time, and I'm so excited about it. And although I did defer my option to the second half to pick a winner for this thing, I think the key for drivers as we get through these stages it's going to be cleanliness. That's right next to godliness. So I'm going to go ahead and not pick, but I'm just going to defer still.
And of course, as always, you got yourself 3 stages on the night. Those stage cautions are going to be at laps 40 and 80 with an estimated fuel window of 94 laps. That means we couldn't be seeing some drivers pitting until about 30 laps away from the end of the race. Now, I do want to mention something here. In the Thursday night race, the Butt Kicker Cup Series race, we did not finish a single one of those stages under regulation. Each one was cut slightly short by their own little incidents. You reckon that could be a trend that we could be seeing continue over the course of the night? Both of those cautions were a result of car-to-car contact.
Absolutely, because drivers are going to have to risk it for the biscuit because we are early on in this points competition, but at the end of those stages, those points matter, Nolan. And I think drivers now understand that there is such a limited amount of opportunities to grab those very valuable points. So, yeah, drivers are going to let it hang out just a little bit, and so therefore it might actually cost us to have a couple of cautions. That's just, once again, in my opinion.
1 lap left to go before we go green flag racing. And as always, we are happy that you're joining with us for a beautiful Saturday night of racing here at the Richmond Raceway for round number 3 in the ISCA Tucson Sound Art Cup Series. And that would, of course, be round number 7 as well in the ISCA Tucson Sound Art Super Cup Series season. So Noah Bitts going to be taking the field around through turns 3 and 4. And the pace car going to dive down into pit road, leaving it in the hands of Noah Bitts, who will come out of turn number 4. As it's time to go racing here in Virginia, Bitts takes them to the green flag.
Yeah, drivers definitely wanting to get a good start as Bitts leads the field into turn 1. He is on his way by himself, getting a blistering leap off of that green flag start turn, Nolan. That's an awesome way. So it looks like he is going to secure to get this thing going. Nobody really taking any grandioso chances, if you will. Everybody's just trying to settle in for some green flag racing.
And green flag racing is something that we certainly do seem to be in for here tonight, as the field is single file now out of turn number 2 and blazing down the back straightaway into turn number 3. You can see the number 8 and 9 of Joshua Gaithright up on the high side, trying to fend off the likes of Brooke Durden in his Checkerworks Mustang, but Gaithright also trying to go on the offensive. He saw him lunge for the inside of Gary Adamson. That was coming around through turn 2.
Yeah, but he thought better of it because sometimes, you know, as these tires are getting up to temperature, just got to be real careful because this car will have a tendency to step out on you a little bit in the rear end. So Gaithright thinking better of it and the little throttle management as this thing continues to go green for it, Nolan.
And problems for Chris D. Johnson, who has had himself with some major technical issues, and he will now find himself down and out of this race potentially. He is all the way down in 13th place, only in front of Flores, who did not even take to the green flag. So not the way that Chris Johnson wanted to start his race off tonight. And of course, you talk about how hard it is to get back a lap here, especially with how easy it is to lose a lap at a track this short. You saw Durden try to make a lunge around Gary Adamson, who's going all the way up to the top shelf, trying to carry the momentum around that outside line. That was the really big story all the way from start to finish in the Thursday night race, was that outside lane. These drivers were not able to use that inside a whole lot later in the runs. That outside just carried too much momentum as Dirty bobbles out of 2.
Yeah, and that's so unfortunate for Chris Johnson, as we actually had been missing him a little bit. Used to having Chris D. Johnson up front in most of these races in this Tucson Sound Art Cup, but hopefully he'll be able to get that thing fixed and at least be able to get it back out on the track so he can at least pick up some of those valuable points, just by running this race.
Dirting throwing his way down in the turns 3 and 4, trying to keep Gainthright at bay. He's also got Al Kozlowski hounding the mirrors just in behind. So you've got a lot of drivers still looking to make up ground early on in tonight's Napa 200, as already starting to close in on double digits. The laps just fly by, and it makes sense why. We are, of course, running sub 23-second laps for a good portion of at least the opening 10 laps or so of a run before it goes up to the mid-23s. And so far, it's looking like it could be a very calm run for a lot of drivers in this field. You mentioned it earlier, nobody's wanting to necessarily take too many big risks as Dirty slides out again, and you saw Gainthright follow in the front line 89. That's going to open up the door for Kozlowski to go to the high side around the number 89.
Yeah, and and like we said, these drivers are actually just trying to settle into a race rhythm, if you will, because this track is almost 3/4 of a mile, and the drivers have to figure out how that line's going to be. And just like you saw, when one car gets out of sorts, it really sends you out of sorts in order to try to get around them. So those lap times are going to continue to rise, but as these cars come into their own, I think guys are just going to be able to figure out what line works best for them.
Figuring out what lines work best is all a part of the game here, and it's what you really need to be doing in these first 2 stages. Those first 80 laps can be oh so crucial, because once the field gets doubled up again for stage 3, there's of course the likelihood that you're not going to be doubled up like that again. So you need to know by then what's going to work and what's going to fail. Right now, Gary Adamson knows what's working, and it's that high side. You saw him try to lunge right around Greg Wychinski's DuPont Chevrolet, and so far, Adamson really trying to work that top lane, and he almost got him through 1 and 2, and I think it would have gotten him, but he pushed it a bit too high up, and he ended up having to back off to avoid running into the outside wall, and now he's checked up again on corner entry to avoid running over that number 5 car. So Greg Wychinski is having a very rough time here, while Gary Adamson can't find a way around him as Dirty goes on the offensive.
And that's exactly the problem, because these cars, if you try to hold that inside line and it's not time, she will push up on that track. We like to use that phrase, pushing up like a dump truck, because that's what it feels like. You're just along for the ride, and I think Adamson just actually got a little bit of that. He wants that car to come in, and he wants to be able to not only run that high line, but more importantly, control that car, because right now, like you said, these first 40 laps, it's all about gathering data. Guys will be able to get out there. You're going to get that fuel data. You're going to get that tire data. And you're not worried about getting stretched out too much, because you do have those race cars coming in at 40 and 80 laps, right, Nolan?
At this point, it's a who knows type of situation, isn't it? And Kozlowski looks for the inside. Can he actually get up the inside? Oh, he got the nose in. But Adamson's just got a much better drive off, and the number 36 Monster Energy Mustang will power high side down the front straightaway. Right up in front of him, you've got Joshua Gainthright really trying to apply the pressure to Brooks Dirty. Kozlowski, you mentioned him before, still trying to go on the attack. There's a lot of battles going on, and these are, of course, for the very crucial final points or final stage positions that are going to be up for grabs. It's only the top 10 that score points. The battles we're currently watching are for 6th on back to that 10th position. Every one of those points really, really matters, especially in the regular Cup Series season that is devoid of any playoffs.
Yeah, thing what we're looking for right now is just to see how patient these guys are going to be, because Nolan, some of these guys that's what it's going to boil down to. As we're coming up halfway through stage 1, guys are going to be antsy. They're going to be trying to get around these other drivers, especially Durton. He's been right out there holding up traffic, if you will. And I'm not trying to say that to be negative, but he's making his car, he's racing, but that's causing traffic to stack up behind him a little bit. So as these guys, especially Keselowski now coming in, it's going to be interesting to see how patient these guys are as we get ready to go over halfway through stage 1.
Into turn number 1, Keselowski really pinning that Chrome Speedway Angels Chevrolet down on the bottom lane, not willing to let these spots go without a fight, and he's certainly trying to take the fight to Brooks Durden. Almost got to the back bumper, and that forced him to check up, and that's going to allow Eric Kling to go on the offensive. So the T-Mobile Mustang going to sweep through now into the 8th position as Al Keselowski is starting to falter a little bit. We'll see if that 88 car can't work his way up and regain lost ground. Entering very, very tight, though, and I think that might be what's hurting the number 88 here a little bit, as you can see the 95 looking to get a good drive out of turn 4 through the tri-oval, and still trying to find a hole around, or a way to get around the legs of Brooks Durden. And honestly, with how much Eric Kling can really put the pressure on somebody, really put the screws in him, I honestly think it's only going to be a matter of time before Kling finds some way through.
Yeah, and Durden's probably going to think better trying to block Kling for too long, because, you know, the thing about it is once you're in that guy's mirror like that and all he can see is you, the problem is he's going to keep looking up at you. That's when he's going to make that mistake, that bobble, and that's what's going to let Kling to get through, because Kling wants to go ahead and get around Durden so he can go ahead and get a stake at another more valuable point, because like you said, even though it's 1 point, those points matter.
Oh, and Eric Kling almost got into Brooks Durden down the front straightaway, but Kling is going to get clear from Brooks Durden, and Durden's going to slide back a little bit more, potentially all the way down to 9th. If Al Keselowski has his say on the low side, and the 88 car throws it in, and Brooks Durden decides to yield, doesn't want to really go for too much of a struggle here in his number 31 machine. So Al Keselowski taking a tight defensive inside line, just wanting to make sure that Durden can't possibly try for a late lunge and go over-under on him, and I think that could be that battle sorted for the time being. One battle that has been steadily closing in, though, Kenny Powell and Ryan Strunk battle for the final podium position. Kenny Powell last lap by 0.4 of a second quicker than Strunk, and he's right on the back bumper, ready to pounce.
Yeah, Powell definitely not going to be wasting any time. He is going to try to make easy work of Strunk, because not only has he got his sights on third, but I think Powell's going to probably try to find himself to get just even a higher up on that podium, if you will, Nolan. You know, it's interesting as Keselowski was actually able to get past Durden, and I think Durden must have got a call from over there in his pit box telling him, hey, look, just try to save the car. He's already made contact with the wall. You know, this way too early in the race to tear your equipment up. You know, the big thing on this one is guys just got to try to keep that car clean, as Powell's going to be, he's going to be tucked right in here behind that number 77 car, Brian Strunk. Now, just that same concept is going to apply, though. Powell is the king of the pressure, so he's going to want to be right back there in Strunk's rearview mirror and just giving him all of that 2-4 gas and go that he can, hoping that at one point Strunk will just bobble, and that will allow him to go ahead to dive to the inside or outside and make that move for that podium spot.
Saw a lot of drivers doing that exact same thing that you described. A lot of people were just waiting for drivers to slip up. They would really lean on that back bumper, and it wouldn't take too long before somebody would slip up and swing a bit too far wide. That would open up the door for somebody to just slip right on through. And so far, Kenny Powell looking to use some of the same tactics that were utilized over in the Thursday night race. How's that for an early lunge? Goes to the inside, and that keeps Ryan Strunk from being able to cover off to the apex, but Powell can't capitalize on the exit momentum. So he almost had him, but Ryan Strunk just was able to utilize the momentum around the outside line, and this is what I love to see, right? When you get one driver that's good in the middle of the corner and on the entry, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you can't pull it off on the exit. And right now, Strunk is definitely superior out of these two when it comes to corner exit.
Yeah, absolutely. But Powell's going to stay right there. That's the one thing that he is going to do. If we could just slide back a little bit, looks like it got a little heated up between Keselowski and Dirting and Ryan Strunk back. Not Ryan Strunk, but sorry about that. But
Joshua Gaithright?
yes. Sorry, I lost myself a little bit. So these guys were really battling for their position, and this is the 6th, 7th, and 8th position, and they are all over each other. Like I said, Keselowski wasn't going to have maybe as much patience as you would have wanted him to have, but he's on a run, and I think Keselowski was putting out some pretty blistering lap times at practice, so he is probably going to want to get that 88 car closer to the front as this thing goes on as well.
Battles on for third place. Kenny Powell made the move on Ryan Strong. They're currently side by side through turns 1 and 2. And Strong still staying at the door, though, as they rocket back down the back straightaway. Under 10 laps to go already in stage number 1. The time is just flying by. And Kenny Powell is showing that he is definitely not a driver that wants to be driving with. He wants to take that third spot away. Breaks later for turn 1. Strong trying to close in, but Kenny Powell overshoots. But Powell is just going to be able to get clear. Strong tried to turn in a little bit to try to get Powell to back off. Powell wasn't having it, though. A game of chicken, and it was Strong who was in the end forced to yield.
Yeah, what an epic battle these two are having, and that's just for third place. No, I don't think this race has been short of excitement so far. Even though we haven't had any cautions, guys are actually out there collecting data and they're just putting themselves out there. So it's a little bit spread out, more so than I thought it would be. But there's really no reason or rhyme, I guess, to go out there and kind of tear your stuff up this early. Gather the data, take it easy. You know that stage caution is going to fly here at lap 40. Pit's going to close here in 2 laps at lap 38, so you just ride along and hope for the best there at the end of this stage. And I think we might even be able to put this one in the books caution free as well.
Going to be 4 laps left to go this next time by, or it'll be 3 to go actually when they come back around to the start-finish line this next time by. So it's not going to be long before pit road closes. The battle's also on for the race lead. Chris Severa got Bitts to the lead, and now Bitts trying to cut back to the inside to get around the Inferno Mustang, but Noah Bitts struggling on the exit. And Chris Severa will seal the deal. This pass was initiated out of turn number 4 the last time by. Severa made a huge lunge to the inside of 1. And that was a gamble that certainly paid off. Chris Severa now puts himself at the head of the boards as they take 2 to go.
Well, if that's doing anything, I think that's going to be a testament of how well that G&G guys have their cars set up here. Pit road is going to close, Nolan, as we are 2 to go remaining in this stage. But Chris Severa actually putting that 62 Ford Mustang out front is probably just a little bit of a slap there to Noah Bitts. I don't think he's really going to appreciate that, but where did that come from and how much more of that's left? I think that's the bigger question as we get ready to put stage 1 in the books.
Severa's going to come around through turns 1 and 2, and already almost a quarter of a second faster than Noah Bitts. That last lap by, Bitts just is not able to contend with the likes of Severa, who will come around turn number 4, and Chris Severa wins here in Richmond for stage number 1 of 3.
And just like that, Chris Severa, your stage 1 winner, with the Noah Bitts bringing in second place. Kenny Powell bringing up that third final podium spot. Ryan Strunk's going to be in the 4th. Greg Wachinski 5th. Al Keselowski 6th. Eric Killeen bringing home that 7th spot. Joshua Gaithright in 8th. Kyle Green in 9th. And Brooks Dirting rounds out your top 10 points paying positions. With that said, let's go ahead and step away and take a word from our sponsors.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
Caution flag is still out. Pit stops have been completed. Severa still leads this race, and overall it is looking like drivers are going to be having a relatively easy time of things out there on the racetrack. Everybody that was at least going to be out on course is still out there on the lead lap. The only driver that is a lap down at the moment that started this race would be that of Chris Johnson, who had a technical failure almost immediately after taking to the green flag. Now, of course, Al, there have been some pretty significant storms that have been battering all up and down the mid-east and, of course, the East Coast. So I would not be surprised it had something to do with that.
Yeah, we hope that those guys are actually able to resolve any issues that they can. You know, excited to see Chris Johnson back. He actually hadn't been racing with us for a while, and he is a current series champion. So always glad to have his excitement in the race. But this thing right here, though, Nolan, as it is weighing on, we do have a small field, but that's making the racing just as exciting. I don't know if these little size fields are conducive to boring races or not. I just hope that they can continue to battle it out like this, at least through the end of stage 3.
It really depends on what kind of drivers you got out there, right? Because you can have 40 guys on a track, but it's 40 people that can't battle each other with such a wide skill spread to the point where the only pass you're going to see is cars getting lapped, and that would make for a boring race. Vice versa, and I can speak to this not just for oval racing, but also for road racing as well. You can have a 6-car grid, but the drivers are so evenly matched that it is constantly cutthroat, back and forth battling, and it can be one of the most entertaining races on the day. And I can even say this through real-world experience as well. Back a couple years ago when I was doing track marshalling, there were only 3 cars on a track, but they all had the exact same car, and they were just constantly going at it with each other. It makes for some spectacular racing. So it's not so much about the field size. It's about the type of drivers that you got in said field. And right now, we got a great group of guys giving us a good show here tonight.
Yeah, these guys on the Saturday night series, man, just a very top-notch group of individuals. They race each other clean. They come as we get ready to go green. Looks like Chris Ver's not going to waste any time taking that green flag, getting that launch. And I think he's going to probably keep that try to keep that 6-2 forward out in that good air for the remainder of this thing. So it's going to be up to Noah Bitts to try to make sure 2 things. Number 1, that Severa doesn't run away with this. And number 2, that he doesn't burn his stuff up trying to keep up with them.
We'll see if Bitts can potentially find a way back past Chris Severa in the battle for the race lead. Bitts was certainly pulling away at the start of the stage, but Severa just trumped him by the end. So far, hasn't been able to do a whole lot in the first couple of laps back. Not at all what you want to be seeing, so Noah Bitts is going to be having a bit of a rough time, it would seem, trying to get that race lead back. Severa, we've seen this before. He's not one to back down without a serious fight first.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And like I said, he's going to keep that. Severa loses the lead as he bubbles just a little bit. And that's going to allow Noah Bitts to slip right by him on the inside to regain that race lead. Now that he's done that, I know Severa cannot wait to return the favor.
It's those little mistakes that can really cost a driver, but Severa, I think, did a phenomenal job to hold on to that car, and instead of keeping it out of the barriers, he decided to lose one spot rather than try to power through and salvage it and end up dropping out of contention on top of it. And of course, if Severa's as fast at the end of a run than he is at the start, he's going to be right back up there again, fighting with no bits in no time. Pick your battles wisely. That is very, very philosophy that everybody has got to live with, especially at a track like Richmond, where it can be so difficult to make a successful pass. You really have got to set it up, and it's not uncommon for these passes to take multiple laps. But those little mistakes, they can certainly make it that it goes the other way in less than one.
Yeah, and he's definitely got to be feeling great knowing that he's got his G&G teammate, Kenny Powell, right there behind him. So he's now going to just focus on getting that 62 right back up there on Bits's bumper. Because remember, Noah led the majority of those laps in stage one, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes Chris Severa. So Severa, knowing that his car is probably set up better for that long run, that's what he's going to be doing, Nolan. He's just going to sit back. He's going to slowly close that gap, and then right there, he's going to go by. So I don't think that, and like you said, kudos to him for keeping that thing out of the wall. That could have just ended so much worse. But, you know, that's just a testament to Chris Severa's driving skill.
Ryan Strunk lost the battle to Kenny Powell in stage number one. And he's looking to try to take that battle right back to him. So the grindstone stump grinding 77 Chevrolet trying to run down. Excuse me, got a frog caught my throat there for a hot minute. Trying to run down the gas and go Camry machine of Kenny Powell, but it's very back and forth battle there. So this is exactly what I was talking about earlier, right? Kenny Powell is better on corner entry and mid. But Strunk's just got to beat on the exit, but you have to be able to put it all together if you want to go for an overtake. The fact that Strunk isn't better on entry and in the middle of the corner is what's keeping him behind Powell at the moment as he slides it out, and that's going to cost him about another 10th and a half.
Yeah, because, you know, when you're dealing with the type of horsepower that these guys got, trying to get that horsepower connected in those tires onto the pavement at the same time without causing that rear diff to kind of cycle on you, that's what causes that thing to go around. So these guys are not only looking at the guy in front of them trying to figure out where to go, but they still got to do that throttle management thing because, you know, you only got that much time, and just like that, you're already in a turn, Nolan.
And in behind the likes of Strunk, you've also got Greg Wyszynski, who's leading up a train of 6 at the moment. From Wyszynski, it's Kling, Durding, Gaithright, and Kozlowski all in a line. And in that pack, Al Kozlowski really starting to apply some pressure to Joshua Gaithright in his front line 89 Mustang. And you can actually see a little bit of damage on the right-hand side of the Abruzzi machine as well, which tells me he had a bit of a scrape with the wall, and I'm willing to take a gander out. It was out of turn 2.
And I'm going to tell you what, if he doesn't give Al Kozlowski some room, he's going to have some more scrapes on that Abruzzi Ford. That's because Kozlowski is not the guy. He'll stay behind you for a little while, but he will definitely make that car as wide as he has to get around somebody, and as we've seen him do time and time again.
Kozlowski, of course, has to worry about Kyle Green behind him, and Green running his Rowdy Energy Camry. Now, I do find this interesting about Kyle Green and that Rowdy Energy machine. On the Thursday night race, you see where it's all yellow on that car, yellow/green, bit in neon colors. That was red on Thursday night, so a bit of a recoloring scheme done to the number 19.
Yeah, I like it. That yellow out here on this Saturday night just kind of makes me feel kind of mellow. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we need. We're just trudging through this thing. A lot of racing left, and these guys are they're settling in, and they're sizing everything up. I think that third stage is going to be the most exciting stage. Right now, guys just gathering that tire and fuel data and trying not to beat up the equipment too much. Still a lot of great racing. This stage, everybody's kept it a lot closer than we did, say, in that last stage. But yet, it's still going to be running on. Noah Bitts just doing his thing, running away with it just a little bit, but Severa not going to let him get too far out. He's going to keep him right there so he can reel him back in as soon as he gets ready. That lead now just being a little bit over 1 second, but the lead back to a third place with Kenny Powell looks like it's just over 2.
Oh, Gaithright missed turn in, and that's going to let Kozlowski to the inside. The 88 slides it out, and can he keep it out of the wall? He just manages to get that car back out of the inside wall. So Al Kozlowski having a scramble with it. He saw Gaithright washing up. Gaithright tried to come down to cover, and it worked like a charm and scaring Al Kozlowski off all the way back behind Gary Adamson. And that 88 is going to be eager to try and break back up into the top 10, especially since we are now going to be just 15 laps to go in stage number 2. That's not a lot of time for Kozlowski to try to work his way back up, especially since in just 65 laps with a caution, we're already over a quarter of the way into this race in just under 30 minutes.
Yeah, and the big thing is, once he actually saw Gaithright get loose, like I said, you don't have a whole lot of time to actually figure out what you're going to do. So Kozlowski, just got more loose than he was, just trying to save his own car.
Looking up to Eric Kling in his number 95 T-Mobile Mustang in his bid to try to run down Grabowczyński. Now Kling has seen better days, it would seem, for his machine, as he has got some hefty right front damage on that machine. But look at that for a high side charge. Late breaking Grabowczyński in a turn number 1. The 5 didn't see it coming, and Eric Kling's going to clear for 5th place. How's that for a move?
Yeah, that was an awesome move, and even though that car might have a little bit of damage, didn't seem to slow it down any, as looks like Grabowczyński's going to probably try to return that favor and look for a crossover, but I don't think he's going to be able to close that gap down. Looks like Kling's just going to have a little bit too much for him. And that 95 car, Eric Kling, he's run consistently in the top 5 since he's actually entered into this series, so no surprise to see him working his way up into the top 5 tonight and continuing that charge up towards the front. So this is something that is typical, but once again, we are coming up with 10 laps left in this stage, just like in that first stage. Oh, looks like we got a little bit of a bobble there. I think that was going to be dirty.
It was Ryan Strong, and I think that was a little bit more than a bobble. How about a full power slide all the way through turns 1 and 2? That could have been so much worse. Strong is now going to be jumping all the way back from 4th place to 8th. But he did a great job to wrestle that car under control and not getting into any of the barriers. So Strong will live to fight another day. And we are now going to be 9 laps left to go in stage number 2. Kyle Green applying pressure on Joshua Gaithright, the front line Mustang, doing his best to keep Green behind him. But Kyle Green, another one of those drivers that really, really knows how to apply the pressure. So we'll see what that Rowdy Energy Camry can do to try to break past him further up into the top 10.
Yeah, and that just shows just that split second of the laps of the concentration, and you'll find yourself in a very bad way. But luckily, that guy was actually able to recover and keep it going. Then these guys right here are battling totally at it between Gaithright and Dirty. What's going to be interesting, though, as we get ready to go with 5 to go, we're going to come up on lap traffic. Paul Oss is going to have to do everything he can to try to maintain his position on the race surface, but he's not going to want to just roll over and give that lap away. Even though he'll get it right back at the stage, you just don't want to go a lap down.
Gaithright starting to enter a little bit lower, trying to defend against Kyle Green, who's really applying the pressure. As well as that, here's Ryan Strong right back with it. We're 5 to go, this time by in stage number 2, and Strong trying to work his way back through the order to retake a potential top 5 here in the second stage. I don't think he's going to quite get there, but he can certainly go for at least 7th. Strong lunging for the inside on Green. Green gives him the room to work with just barely, but Ryan Strong not able to get the power off as Kyle Green really started to pinch him in.
Yeah, but he's not done yet. He's going to push that 77 as far as he needs to get that thing around that around Green. I got a frog in my throat, I guess. But as we get ready to put this thing in the books, I think the pits will be closing here as we get ready to go to 78. Strunk is going to do what he has to do to try to get around these two guys in front of him. He can't sit back and wait. He has to go, and he has to go now.
Kyle Green is not going to make the same mistake that he made the last time by leaving a hole open for Ryan Strunk. He really learns quickly. Green was not expecting Ryan Strunk to try to go for him like that, but he certainly gave it his all. And on top of that, Noah Bitts has actually lost not just first, but has fallen back down to third. So what has happened to Noah Bitts, who's lost 2 spots in 1 lap? I think he might have had a potential loose moment, as now Kenny Powell's up to second, Severa's in the lead, and they're coming around to the white flag.
Yeah, but this is the same. This is the same way that the first stage ended. For whatever reason, Bitt's car falls apart there towards the end of that run, and Severa he just pulls out his little bit of kryptonite, drops it there behind him, and Bitts goes bye-bye.
Final lap of the stage, and it's starting to get a bit hectic in the battle for 7th place. Kyle Green just gave the bumper to Gaithright, and it will be Severa to win stage 2. We're going to watch this battle here, though, as they come around through 3 and 4. Will it be the bumper again? Out of turn 4. There is a bit of a bump, but it's not enough, and Gaithright's going to hang on.
Yeah, wow, what an exciting way to end that stage, as Chris Severa is your stage 2 winner back-to-back on the sweep, with Kenny Powell finding himself a little bit higher up on that podium there with second place, Noah Bitts in third, Eric Kling in the 4th, Greg Wachinski 5th, Brooks Dirting is going to be in 6th, Joshua Gaithright 7th, Kyle Green 8th, Ron Strunk in 9th, and Al Kozlowski rounding out those top 10 point span positions. Wow, we got that yellow flag waving. Let's go ahead and take a break and get a word from our sponsors.
Cardiology, I don't have the heart. Pulmonary doctor, no cigar. I can't diagnose a simple cold or flu, but if your engine's got a cough, I know what to do. Give it 6 of these and wash it down with this. A new air filter ought to help it catch its breath. Napa know-how. Napa know-how.
Pit stops currently underway under the stage 2 yellow flag. We'll see if Chris Severa can beat these drivers out of pit road. He beat them off the last time, and he'll beat them out again. And this time, Kenny Powell will be second off, and Bitts falling down to third. So 1 by 1, drivers cycling through. Gary Adamson is taking a bit of an extended hiatus out on pit road there. Wanted to get some damage fixed. And hey, it's going to be a good run here for Adamson if he could just get that damage fixed, right? It's a free caution. It might be the last free caution he gets on the night as well.
Well, with that said, Nolan, we are now getting ready to, don't say it too loud, but we're going to have to start talking about pit strategy. I know those are the 2 words that you probably don't like to use, but we're getting ready to enter in this third and final stage, and this car's having 94 laps of fuel capacity. Not seeing anybody actually duck back in and get that top off. What are you thinking is going to be the strategy that's going to put these teams up front?
I have to say, I thought Noah Bitts would be the driver who'd be able to go out there and get a race win tonight, but I have to say, I'm not feeling all that confident now after seeing how these opening 2 stages have gone, because he's really fallen off right near the end. And this time it's not just a 40-lap run he's got to manage. It's going to be another 115. So I don't think Bitts is going to be able to take that win. I think this could be another one chalked up for Chris Severa out there.
Well, Severa's been his own worst enemy a lot of times, so we'll see if he can actually stay out of his own way, I guess we'd say. And if he could actually do that and keep his car clean, he would be the odds-out favorite to win this thing. But either way you look at it, you got to be feeling pretty good with those G&G guys, as these fellows they're really putting on the clinic, I guess you'd say. There's 4 G&G guys in this race, and all but one of them, well, there's 5 G&G guys in this race, but all but one of them, I think, is actually in the top 10.
Severa taking the high side. I didn't think we'd see this at Richmond, honestly, considering the leaders are in control of the restarts, but it does kind of make sense. That outside line is where you want to be if you want to defend a move, but that doesn't come until a bit later in the run. It's a very bold move for Severa to go up high, and who wonders if that's going to end up paying off for him. We still have what will end up being 114 laps to go when we take that green flag. And, of course, could be seeing these drivers not coming in until about 20 laps to go. How long they can go on a fuel tank. Pace car is down in the pit road. It is in the hands of Chris Severa, who's checking on the field. Powell pulls up in front. Can't do that, though, and now Severa's going to launch. The inside lane doesn't go. Kenny Powell under fire. Look out for Noah Betts trying to find a way through. Clay goes for it, and Powell overshoots turn 1. It's complete pandemonium here at Richmond as they fire through 1 and 2.
The ice man coming. Chris Severa just did the ultimate ice move on his own G&G teammate. What a move, as he just totally stalled him, backed up that outside line, and now look at him go. We're getting ready to get some great racing on here as everybody is going. We got the first 2x2 racing that we've really seen all night, as these guys are trying to figure out how they're going to line up, because I think they're understanding, although there's no guarantee they're going to have a caution. So your track position is everything. And look, as Bitts drops back to third place, but
and he's around.
He goes around. Is he going to save?
He does, and it's no caution.
But that's really going to be detrimental to his dreams and hopes tonight, because now he's got to get that thing back up to speed, and he's going to find himself at the tail end of that lead lap. The most unfortunate thing for him to happen whatsoever. I guess those tires didn't come in fast enough.
Good news is there's enough time for him to work his way back up through the order. Battles also on for third place. Ryan Strong trying to get around Eric Kling down the back straightaway. And Strong has got the inside line on the T-Mobile number 95 for Mustang. And that's going to put Ryan Strong through. And look at Greg Wachinski and the DuPont Chevy trying to follow suit.
Yeah, Wachinski's definitely not going to let that door close, as he's going to look to follow Strunk and get around Eric Kling himself. But the key is, though, can you make that car stick to the bottom line, Nolan? Because if you can't hold it down there, whoops, he goes, and look at him sliding back there now, as he's got to battle with that 89 car that's on his inside.
Joshua Gaithright trying to get around Greg Wachinski. After Wachinski bobbled, he's going to do so. Oh, no, it's Gaithright sliding sideways, and he's going to hold on. Kozlowski gives him the bumper, and that's going to send Gaithright around again. He'll save it once more down the back straightaway. Kozlowski's going to find himself in a scrap with Gary Adamson coming around through 3 and 4. It is just a chaotic opening 10 laps of stage number 3. What a run this has been, though. Talk about action right where we were missing some of the opening stage of the night.
Yeah, absolutely. But here it is, these guys are finding out that nobody is going to lift Kozlowski now. He's going to try to get down there on the inside of Wachinski, because he knows he wants to get up front as well. Now, Adamson, he's just going to keep running. He's not trying to look back. He's just going to look, nothing behind me. I'm just trying to get up front here where my boys are at. And Severa and Powell, trouble. Looks like the 19 cars has lost it there. I think that's Kyle Green, and that's going to bring out the first caution of the evening here. Let's look at what happened. Let's ride along with him and figure out what happens as he loses it. Appears to be a self-spin.
I think there's a bit more to the story here. Gaithright was going for it. Oh, there it was. A bump and run, more like a smash and spring. Kyle Green goes around to the Rowdy Energy Camry. Now remember, that's not the first time that they've hit each other over the course of the night. Joshua Gaithright was struck several times by Kyle Green towards the end of stage number 2 there. You have to wonder if maybe the emotions could be boiling over a little bit on the track.
Well, I'll tell you, this is way too soon to do that, as we got drivers from a little peekaboo there, flashing dash there on pit road. But you know what? If I was in the back, I would come on down, get that thing filled up. The guys up front going to stay out, though. Top 5 thinking better of it, but everybody else in the field is split. I think they're coming on down there, and they're going to at least top this thing off, Dolan. What are your thoughts? Is that the right play, or would you stay?
A good number of drivers out there are expressing some displeasures for each other out there on the racetrack. You can have guys like Kozlowski, Wachinski, Kling, Strunk, Powell, and Severa that all stayed out on the racetracks. About half the field came down, the other half stayed out. So it's an interesting call. I honestly, though, am more for these guys that are staying out here because you're not able to make it on field to the end of this race, and you're only going to have, 10-lap pressure tires? It's not going to be enough to really pay off in the long run when you got to make another green flag stop yet on the night.
It's a little more than 10 laps, though. It's more like 15, isn't it? 15 laps on these tires. That's a pretty big difference because we've seen what even happened to oh my goodness. Bitts. We've seen what happened to Bitts' car as he gets ready to, go down into this thing. So I don't know. I think that's going to be the call right here that's going to make a difference in the race. That's what I'm gambling on. Even though they still don't have enough to make it, I think those freshies might make a difference for those guys that are in the back a little bit. Nothing. I mean, worst case scenario is definitely going to change the pit sequence.
And you can see Greg Wachinski making a secondary trip down into pit road, and Kyle Green's going to go with him, and I imagine Green's in just to get a bit more damage repaired. And Wachinski is going to be sitting in pit road for a little while as well. Once again, getting a fresh set of Goodyears on that car. I think we're 2 to green this time by, and we're going to be halfway this next about 2 laps from now when we take the green flag. We'll be with 101 to go. And already, we talked about how fast this race has been flying by, and I mean, it has just been, it's just been way out of control tonight. I mean, time just seems to go, and there's no way to drag it all back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we made it through the first 2 stages, relatively unscathed. A lot of good racing, a lot of clean racing, but here we go, just 17 laps or so into stage 3, and well, there's our first caution. Lights are out on the pace car. Severa taking that lead this time, thinking better of it. Looks like he's going to start on the inside, which is going to push that G&G teammate Kenny Powell to the outside. But that was a super cold move that Severa pulled on Powell. From now on, I'll call him the Iceman.
Chris Severa in control. Oh, he tried to go. Spun the tires up, though. So that advantage it might have gotten was just neutralized. Kenny Powell almost dead even with them as they thunder down into turn number 1. The field stacked up and doubled up. Kenny Powell hanging on to second place. Ryan Strong trying to attack for third. It's not going to happen, though. And Biggs is going to storm high side through 3 and 4 and pick up third, trying to go for second as well.
Absolutely. If anybody benefited from that caution, that would have been Noah Bitts. Otherwise, found himself on the tail end of that lead lap. Now he's right back up here, reclaiming that 3rd position, trying to get around that 77 car stroke. But now he's going to be on the inside of Kenny Powell. Now, that outside line is how that line is going to work. Will he be able to make it stick and power around Powell to the outside with those cold tires?
Kenny Powell going to be out tucking it in for 3rd place as Noah Bitts clears for 2nd as the field condenses into turns 1 and 2. We are now in the 2nd half of this 200-lap event, and it is only going to continue in intensity all the way on up to the checkered flag. Noah Bitts applying pressure to Chris Severa. Looks low, dives low into turn 1, side by side. And Severa in his Inferno Mustang can't fight against him, and I think Noah Bitts might be able to wrangle that frontline machine around into the race lead once again.
Definitely having pressure tires is going to be a little bit of an advantage here, at least for Bitts at the time being, as he makes that 87 car stick. Him and Severa battling side by side. These two guys have been going at it here most of the night. Severa actually passing him twice there to take the race lead as they're battling out. Looks like this time, though, Bitts is going to make it stick. Now got that 87 car back out in the lead, and he's going to go ahead and take us on back around again.
Bit further back, Rebuchinski is making an attack here on Eric Klain down in the turn number 1. He's going to easily sweep through. Strunk also putting Kenny Powell under fire for third just up the road. Powell wasn't expecting it. Strunk took the inside, and now Powell's going to assert his dominance right back and try to cut Strunk off, but only ran himself wide through turn 4. That gives Strunk some momentum down the front straightaway, but I don't think it'll be enough to have another realistic lunge down to the turn 1.
Yeah, especially since these guys are up here doing this battle for third place. You got to keep in mind, too, Nolan, they're actually on older tires. Some 15-lap older tires than the guys behind them. So the more they sit there and go at it like that, probably the closer that gap's going to get, and they're going to put themselves in jeopardy of being passed up. If this thing were to continue to go green right now, we do have quite a different story that's playing out, because we got cars that are even 10 to 15 lap difference on tires and fuel. That's going to make a difference as this thing continues to weigh on, as we find ourselves now just on the other side of 100 laps. So meaning we got just 93 laps to go in this thing. Once again, this is where those pit strategies are going to come into play. With 93 laps to go, if the caution were to fly now, most of these guys would be able to make it the remainder of the race on fuel.
Wachinski's got the upper hand, trying to make a run into turn number 1, but Strunk braking later on the high side, but he braked too late, and he ran himself wide through 1 and 2, and the only thing that saved him there from losing that 4th position was a bobble from Wachinski on the low end of things. I tell you what, these drivers just do not know when to quit. I mean, they cannot get away from each other, and it is providing us with some honestly just incredible racing out there in this field, and it is not about to go away anytime soon, and this is the type of racing that you like to see on both Saturday and Thursday nights. Well, then feel free to subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitch, or follow us on Facebook Live for weekly ISCA racing action. As Wachinski tried to look once again low on Strunk, but once again gets chopped off by the 77.
Yeah, but that 77 car right now, he's running out of time. Wachinski's actually got fresher tires, and what he's going to do is he's going to stay right behind the 77, and he's just going to make him wear himself out just a little bit more and more at a time. It's like a heavyweight fight right now, Nolan. These guys that got the fresher tires just going to start chopping these other big guys down, and I think that's what's going to be the difference here right now.
That number 5 car is not willing to give up just yet. He is going to, I think he's in the moment where if he can't apply the pressure by getting alongside Strong, he's going to be applying that pressure by getting right up to the back bumper. You can see there's almost nothing between them anymore out of turn 2, and Wachinski isn't trying to go for an overtake anymore. He's trying to hound Ryan Strunk into making a mistake to open up the door for him. And open up the door Strunk has. Wachinski once again with the inside lane. Down for turn 1, lunging for it. Oh, they're going to make contact. Strunk gets nudged up the hill, and Wachinski finally gets through to 4th.
Yeah, but he's still not clear yet. Strunk's going to come right back on him because he's got clean coming around his backside. So, like you said, though, he's right there. And looks like Clean just lost it a little bit, but he was actually able to save it. Going to cost himself a couple positions. We could actually ride along with him and see what happened right there. Looks like he was just coming, and somehow he just kind of lost it and got a little bit loose on him.
Right there, just swinging it around. And tell you what, that's a pretty gnarly moment there. I don't think I've ever seen a car kind of straighten up like that. What that tells me is he probably locked up specifically the left rear tire to keep that thing going. Boy, oh boy, that was really close to going around. We could have had our second caution for a crash right then and there, but we're going to keep things green. And that will bring us, speaking of green, to the battle for 6th place between Kyle Green and Al Kozlowski.
Yeah, and interesting to note, too, that Kling and the others who stayed out, they're got 35 laps on their tires, and I think that has been the pivotal point that we've seen so far where guys kind of like lost that edge. So now it'll be interesting to start watching what happens to their lap times, as Noah Betts on those freshies has even pulled his lead out to some 2.4 seconds over second place Chris Severa and third place Kenny Powell. So that decision to take those tires when he did, yeah, that plays out now, but barring some unforeseen caution, you know, that's going to put Powell and Severa on a different pit schedule, which is going to allow them to close that gap as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out as we are actually into that pit window.
Now I don't think Kozlowski will be able to make a run on Kyle Green. I think he may have just burned his stuff up a bit too early on. But if he can't go for the overtake, rest assured he's going to do everything he can to at least keep pace with Kyle Green. So he can be there if Green makes that one crucial mistake that can make or break a race. Right behind them, you got Joshua Gaithright trying to make a run on Eric Kling in the battle for 8th and 9th. And Gaithright did pull alongside briefly in 1 and 2, but then had to drop back because he was going to slam up into Kling and put them both up into the outside wall. And he's trying to see if he can attack Kling before Kling can get his feet back under him and run his way back up there to the guys trying to fight for those top spots.
Yeah, absolutely. There is plenty of racing left, and we are still green flag racing, which this is awesome. Let's go ahead and take a break right now. Let's get a word from our sponsors, and then when we come back, we should be get a little bit closer to the action for you.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
Come alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
Battle is still raging on between Kenny Powell and Greg Wyszynski. They're both trying to catch up to Chris Severa in second place. Right behind them, you got Strunk, Green, Kozlowski, all under a blanket for the last spot inside the top 5. Those are really the battles to look out for at the moment. Everybody else so far in the field just kind of spread out and kind of just running their own line at the moment. And you mentioned a couple of drivers might be coming soon after that commercial break there, Al. Well, you called right, because Paul Olson, I believe, was the first driver to come on down into pit road. But, of course, he was not going for a pit stop. He's pulled it into the garage.
Yeah, Paul Olson not having a good evening tonight. He did find himself by himself most of the race until he did suddenly find himself going laps down, so subsequently deciding better of continuing. But, hey, that just makes it that much more interesting. Right now we're totally settled into our race rhythm. Everybody is on the track. Everybody is still on the same lap that's on the track right now. So this is still anybody's race. Got a lot of guys that are on older tires, a lot of guys on fresher tires. everybody could pit right now. If caution were to come out, they would be able to make it at least on fuel. So what are your thoughts right now as we're just watching these laps tick away?
Oh, and Kyle Green trying to lunge one on Strug. Almost getting into the back bumper of him. But Kyle Green not about to be denied that position, trying to open up a door with force, and Strong not letting him in. Kyle Green going to have to take this one way or another, and it's not going to be by Ryan Strong. Strong's not trying to be intimidated, it would seem. And Kyle Green just can't find a way to make the hole work. Can he get here to turn 3? It looks like he will. Looks slow, and he's going to make a late-breaking move to try to get Strunk on the up and up out of turn 4. And I don't think Strunk will be able to hold him this time on the outside line.
Yeah, but the problem is, Green having his tires being worn as well. He's got to hold that inside line, and that's just as hard as Strunk holding that outside line. So this pass is going to take just a little bit of time. It's not just it's not a one and done thing. It's going to take 2 or 3 turns to set it up and to make it happen. And now, just like that, here comes Kozlowski now, going to stick his nose on the inside of Mr. Strunk. So. These guys are they're on the same pit cycle. Green actually being on the opposite pit cycle, but still not actually able to put any distance between himself and Strunk. So that just goes to show you what kind of racing that we do have left in store for us if this thing were to even stay green.
Strunk's going to continue to try to get that spot back, and Kyle Green did a fantastic job there on looking to open up the door and take full advantage when a door came. He saw it coming, and he just knocked it down. And now Al Kozlowski trying to follow him through. But Strunk had a hard enough time moving up and out of the way for Kyle Green. He is not about to make it any easier for the Speedway Angels 88 behind him.
Yeah, but that 88, like I said, he might just move him. It just depends on how patient he's planning on being at this stage of the game. It's anybody's race still, as Pitts is. He is just putting a blistering pace out there. I mean, he's got the biggest lead that anyone has had as of yet. But we do know that Pitts, it seems like once he gets around 40 laps or so on those good years, that he falls tremendously off the pace. And he's almost at that mark now, so it'd be interesting to see if Severus actually able to close that distance. But those G&G guys should be getting ready to make their pit stops unless they're going to run this thing all the way down to the end. Now, we hadn't talked to any of them, so I don't know if their cars are set up for the long run, but that definitely seems to be the case. It seems like their cars are definitely set up better for the long run, as Kozlowski is now getting ready to put all of that undue pressure that he can on Strunk, and that's not going to make Strunk's sweep any easier. But he did actually open that gap up a little bit. Kozlowski had it closed all the way in. He was showing the inside of that 88 to the 77. The 77 doing everything he can to keep him at bay, at least for the time being.
And now Kozlowski's backing it up, and look at how much he closes in just the braking zone. At this point, Kozlowski knows that he's the faster driver. He wants to try to find the way through, and it's not going to come easily for him. He's going to have to try to find his way past Ryan Strunk the hard way. Once again, lunges for it. I like what he's trying to do here. I think what he's trying to do is back off a little bit on the straights, so that way he can make a great lunge through the middle and entry of the corner so he can get him on the exit. But so far, he's been catching him too quickly. He catches him right at the apex and is forced to back off to Strunk's speed, and that just kills his exit momentum. He can back up just a little bit more. I think he actually might be able to have a go at it here.
Yeah, but he doesn't lose his cool first because he's trying to do everything in his power to get around Strunk. He's been trying to get around him for a while, and he can't be too happy about watching Kyle Green just drive away from him as he's stuck back here not being able to get around Ryan Strunk. Looks like Kenny Powell now is on pit road, so that should start our first, he is our first taker here for green flag pit stops. That's right, green flag pit stops are underway. And whenever that happens, Nolan, I get super excited because that means somebody's strategy is actually underway. Somebody has actually planned it out, and now their time to come in to see whose strategy is going to be the best. They got super excited. Are you?
Kenny Powell, you saw him, as mentioned, just exiting pit road, taking his final scheduled pit stop on the day. We are well within the range where he can make it to the end on fuel. So Powell took a fresh set of Goodyears, and he's going to be looking to try to make this run last all the way until the end of the race. And take the high side away from Gaithry. That's not for position, of course. He is just at this point trying to unlap himself. And I talked about how much Al Kozlowski was struggling to get by Ryan Strunk. Well, he's got to get a move on here because Eric Kling has started to apply the pressure behind them. And you're going to see Kling in just a moment for the T-Mobile number 95, just in the back of the shot. There he is, starting to close in on Al Kozlowski. 0.3 quicker than both these drivers ahead of him for the last 3 laps consecutively.
Yeah, I think he's on a different pit cycle. But, you know, here's the thing, though. Kozlowski should be coming in here to pit pretty soon. He's gonna want to do that because at this point, if he can't get around Kling, if he can't get around Strunk, he's just losing too much time to the guys in front of him.
Kozlowski starting to lose touch with Ryan Strunk up the road. I think he's going to have to worry more about a defense from Kling before he can focus on trying to go after that grindstone 77 again, because Strunk starting to pull away, and now Eric Kling wants to badly find a way through. Kling washes up, though. That opens up the door for Kenny Powell to get through and unlap himself. Powell will also take off Kozlowski while he's at it. Now, of course, that makes sense why they'd be moving up and out of the way because, of course, G&G teammates. Powell is going to get held up a little bit, though, here by Ryan Strunk, and I'd be surprised if Powell...
Wait, Nolan. So
Yeah.
Noah Bitts is pitting again. Severa now, because Severa had closed the gap. I mean, he was within a second of Bitts. Bitts now on pit road. Severa still yet to pit. Now, what's interesting about that, if Severa doesn't pit, he stands to lap Wachinski. Wow. What an awesome turn of events that we got. I mean, Adamson, he stands to lap Gary Adamson. Wow. Somebody's pit strategy paid off.
And Gaithry currently into pit road, so is Kyle Green. Seems like this is the time for drivers to come on down into pit road. Adamson was just lapped, this time by Chris Severa. Gaithry now on his way out of pit road, and you see Kyle Green just coming off the jacks on the right-hand side and to go up on the left. And in behind Kyle Green, there you can see Strunk and Kling both in the pit road as Kyle Green will leave his pit box. So one by one, drivers ticking on in. There it is, race leader Chris Severa into pit road, this time by Wachinski. Stays out, though. So Wachinski will lead his first lap at the line, and just in time for Kenny Powell to unlap himself.
Yep, get that 5 bonus points for leading the lap. And now this is where things get tricky because you think you're in the clear now, but usually those guys on fresh tires now try to make a statement. I'll say try to make a statement as Severa slides through his pit box, and that usually causes the greatest chance for cautions. So now that guys are trying to intermix and trying to figure out how to get everything settled, Severa's going to hope that no caution comes out. But wow, what an intro. I didn't see, I never saw Bitts stopping to pit before Severa.
It makes sense. Try to go for the undercut because Severa knows that he's better on the long run than Noah Bitts is. Noah Bitts knows that, so he's trying to make sure that he can extend his lead as much as possible in the short run by being on fresher tires. So that way he can have that much more buffer room to work with by the time Chris Severa's pace really starts to kick on in. And it's actually put a good chunk of buffer in between them because now Chris Severa finds himself several seconds behind Noah Bitts as opposed to just 1 or 2. So this is not good news for Chris Severa if he wanted to see if he can't try and take that race lead away. He's going to have to wait quite a while before he's able to get there because there's about a third of a lap separated those two drivers now.
Now Wachinski finds himself on pit road along with Mr. Adamson. Adamson actually going a lap down there before he was actually able to pit. So probably not good for him. I think that's going to put him as being the only car officially going to be not on the same lap with the leaders as this cycles through. So now Noah Bitts, pressure tires, trying to get back up front. Christopher stayed out a little bit longer. Going to have to work a little bit. I'm scratching my head. No, I'm scratching my head.
We are now in the final quarter of this 200-lap race. It is 46 laps to go this time by the line. Going to be 45 now that we get set to go forward. Battle's on for third place. How about Obitz trying to take the high side from Kenny Powell? Gets cut off. Lunges low. That's a late break there for Noah Bitts in the very late offensive charge. Kenny Powell fell for the dummy, and Noah Bitts takes the spot away. Kenny Powell, though, going to try to return the favor into one, but he can't get there in time. Bitts covers him off, and Noah Bitts is back into a podium position. Brooks Durden is the next driver in his side, who I believe is still yet to make a pit stop, and that is in fact true. And as is Al Kozlowski. Those are the only two cars standing between Bitts now and a solid run to try to get himself a race win. I tell you what, Noah Bitts has got to hope that Kenny Powell plays some spoiler here to his teammate Chris Severa, because otherwise it's going to be a rough ride for Bitts to try to hold on to that lead at the moment. There's 5 seconds between them, but that gap is already starting to slowly shrink on in.
How about Keselowski with 75 laps out, just doing his thing? And I'm telling you what he's waiting on. He's waiting on a late race caution to secure that lead. He's done it before. That's the only strategy that seems to make sense. But way to go, Al Keselowski. Yeah, I'm giving you my shout out for tonight. Bold call, brother, bold call.
And Al Kozlowski holding to the low end of things. Is he coming to pit road this time? No, he's not, but he's going to let Eric Kling go by on the outside line. So does Grebichinski sweep through as well. And Grebichinski is starting to apply some pressure to Eric Kling as well. And in fact, last time by, Wachinski had a 22.8, but Eric Kling had only a 23-second time, and that is the battle for overall 8th position on the racetrack right now between the 95 and the number 5.
Yeah, I just love it when the pit strategies actually get a chance to work out. So we've saw an awesome race here, and not only having one caution outside of stage cautions, and that's actually, even though we started with just 14 cars, still having 11 cars still in this thing, and out of those 11 cars, I think all 11 are, with the exception of one, Gary Adamson, are on the same lap. So great racing here from short racing from Richmond. It doesn't disappoint time and time again. I think this is just great. Now let's just ride along with a couple guys and just kind of get a feel as we get this thing laid out and give our voices a rest and get ready to call this thing as we get ready to go into the final quarter of the race.
battle is on for the 5th position. Brooks Dirting under fire by Ryan Strunk into turn number 1. The 77 car is going to take it away, and Greg Wachinski looks to try to sweep through to steal 6th as well. And Durden is going to have to slip back. And it looks like that Checkerworks Mustang does not have as much speed underneath it as Dirty might like.
Yeah, but, you know, also he's got 75 laps on his tires, so I don't know what he, you know, at some point you say, hey guys, bye guys, you know what I mean?
Certainly doing. I tell you what, these battles are not about to go away anytime soon. I mean, what a race it has been as well. I mean, we are entering the last 25 laps here in just a few moments, and it has just been non-stop action from start to finish. Really makes you wonder, what's Martinsville going to be like next week, right?
Yeah, Martinsville, I'm sitting here thinking about the Coca-Cola 600. You know, these guys have been in this thing for a while, and the amount of sheer focus that it takes to go 200 laps around this thing under green flag conditions, you mentally you don't get a break because you can't look left, you can't look right. You have to be focused on your entries to the turns, your exits to the turns. So kudos to these guys for actually keeping it green for as long as they've been able to. You couldn't have asked for a better race and just a great all-around group of guys, you know.
All-around group of guys, they certainly are, and you can't ask for a better race than what we got here. I mean, this has just been a phenomenal night. And I talked about how Chris Severa was starting to close in on Noah Bits. That gap has not been coming down nearly as much as Severa needs, and in fact, well, he might have actually lost a little bit to Noah Bits this next time by. Well, it closed in by a couple of tenths, but a couple of tenths a lap this late in isn't going to cut it. That gap is still 4.7 seconds. That is a whole straightaway's worth. Christopher can't wait to just sit around back there anymore.
Yeah, I know, but the thing about it is Bits is Noah's coming up on 32 laps on his tires. So historically here tonight, once he hits around 35 to 38 laps, he has a tremendous fall off. He left himself 60 laps to finish on that last set of tires. I don't know if he's actually figured out a way to save his tires and conserve his lap times enough to fight off Severa, because Severa's coming. No matter how you do the math on this, Chris Severa is going to close that gap, and when he does, it's just a matter of time now.
It's at this point where you start to wonder what could we be seeing late race strategies look like, because there's not a whole lot that these drivers are going to be able to do now that the battles are kind of split apart. I mean, we don't have anything on track at the moment that is within a second of each other.
No, it's
even about for 5th.
Yeah, it's 20 to go. It's go like hell. I mean, all of your strategies are out the window now. Now it's time to put the hammer down and get the dang car to the front of the line. I mean, you got to drive that car to within the limits of his capabilities. That's the only way you're going to be able to close any distance at this stage in the race. Barring some unforeseen late race caution, this is go time.
Chinsky trying to get the over-under on Strung. Down the back straightaway, and I think that number 5 car will be able to get by there eventually. I mean, he's been closing in significantly. Just again, quarter of a second, last lap alone. Now it's once again the waiting game. How long do you want to wait for Ryan Strunk to make a mistake before you force him into a mistake? Because Ryan Strunk has proven that he does not just move up and out of the way for people, not unless you really lean on the back bumper.
Yeah, he's right in his prime right now, so don't think he's going to be trying to get out of anybody's way or do anybody any favors. You know, he is here and he's trying to make sure that he's running for a championship. You know what I mean? These guys are not out here just rolling around on Saturday night, or, headed to Walmart to get a loaf of bread. They are racing. They're risking it for the biscuits, baby. These guys are racing for a championship, the bragging rights, right?
I'd say you're absolutely right on that one.
Looks like we lost Brooks Dirting. I mean, he stayed out there and he ran his tires all the way off his car, and then he just took that thing on behind the wall.
And brought him to pit road, deciding it wasn't worth staying out there anymore. He is now 7 laps down and continuing to drop. It was not the night that Durden was looking to have, but the good news is, if he's a fan of short tracks, there's a lot of them coming on up here in the next 2 weeks. I honestly can't get my mind off of what these next 2 weeks are going to hold. I can't decide which could be a wilder race, Martinsville or Bristol Dirt.
It'll be the first time seeing these in action here in Lodell 4 high horsepower cars actually on that dirt track at Bristol. So, yeah, it's going to be an exciting race. I think it's set for a night venue as well. So, dirt racing under the lights on a Saturday night. What else could make you feel more like a great race?
Oh, look out! Strong gets run over by Wachinski. We figured it would only take it wouldn't be forever before Wachinski forced the mistake, and there it is. Big bumper, and Strong is going to fight this one right back to the inside of one.
Did you not see that one coming? These two are going to battle like this for a while, as long as they can. Strong's not going to just give up, and Wachinski's not just going to give way. These two this is the battle right now that we've got on the racetrack, guys, as we are coming in. We got 13 laps to go, and Wachinski has to get around Strunk. He has no choice but to get around Ryan Strunk at this point.
Wachinski looking to cut over and under. Once again, he's got some great momentum down the backstretch. Is it enough? Strunk defends, and Wachinski has to back off. This is a battle that is not going to go away until the very last lap of the race after the checkered flag. And if Strunk has anything to say about it, Wachinski is not going to tick off another notch in that top 5 column.
And coming around to 10 to go, Chris Severa now within 2 seconds of our race a leader, which makes that going to be an epic battle, as he is. There's nothing between that 62 and that 87 right now, and he has to make that distance shorter. Question is going to be is what happens once he gets there. They're going to be battling just as hard as Strunk and Wachinski, but they're going to be battling for the lead, and we're set up to have that take place right here at the most exciting time, Nolan, to get your voice ready, because we're going to be counting this one down probably at our last time together here on this Saturday night series, and I think they got a great one set up here for you as we're looking at now 9 to go.
Under 10 laps to go. That battle for 5th place is still where it's all at for the moment. 1.9 seconds between the race leaders, maybe, but there's still a long way to go before that all gets settled. And Wachinski still looking to lean on Ryan Strunk to force him his way up into a 5th place. And Strunk, I think, is going to have to learn how to live with this one, because Wachinski's not going away. And I think Wachinski's got to realize that he might have to be a little bit more forceful if he wants to take that 5th place away from Strunk.
Just a little bit of a bobble there is going to send that Wachinski, that 5 car, just a little bit further back to give that Ryan Strunk just that breathing room that he was looking for. Wachinski just lost it ever so slightly, and that caused him. I mean, you don't get one chance of it here, but he will battle back down there, and you'll see him. He'll drive it hard into the corners. He's got to close that gap on the 77. 77 getting a breather now, but he knows that it's just a matter of time before that 5 car comes back. Speaking of coming back, Chris Severa now within 5/10 of our race leader.
Severa still looking to try to get a bit closer, and that gap shrinking in. It's half a second now between the two of them as of start finish. At this point, Severa's almost 3/10 a lap quicker. Noah Bitts is not going to be able to keep him at bay. He's going to have to try to find a way to keep him behind, though. And Chris Severa might be taking that race lead away, whether he likes it or not. And Bitts gets a bit loose out of turn 4. Is Severa brave enough to look into turn 1 this time by? Thinks about the outside, decides against it. He'll swap back to the low end. Trying to get a run out of the exit of turn number 2. He's right there with Noah Bitts. Bitts goes defensive, though, and Severa's going to have to take the high side through 3 and 4. Gets right to the back bumper again, and it's Frontline versus Severa once again. And Chris Severa not going anywhere without a fight. Bitts still blocking down the front stretch.
And while those two are battling for the lead, Ryan Strunk can't get this thing done. Him and Noah Bitts must be sitting in the same seat right now because they definitely have the same view. The only difference is the car number that's behind the other one, but I think Noah Bitts is not going to be as well off as Ryan Strunk. As looks like Severa is now going to secure that race lead from Noah Bitts with just 2 laps to go.
Oh, and Bitts slides it out as he exits turn number 2 as well. He tried to fight back and take it in 3. It's not going to happen, though. Severa clears with 2 laps to go, and he's now going to be taking that white flag as the field gets set to come on around for the final time today. Chris Severa has had such a strong run later in the runs. He won both stages late in the game, and he got it just in the nick of time. In the final one, Severa's going to come around turn number 4, and he will win at Richmond.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's so cliche, but Chris, don't play with your dinner. It almost, I mean, that's a hat trick. So congratulations to Chris Severa once again getting it done as he sweeps all 3 stages here tonight, being your race winner. Noah Bitts bringing it home in that second place with Kenny Powell finishing 3rd.
So we'll take a look at your official post-race results here tonight. Chris Severa wins one over Noah Bitts right at the buzzer. Kenny Powell will finish out in 3rd with Kyle Green in 4th. Strunk is 5th. Wyszynski and Kling, the last cars on the lead lap, in 6th and 7th, with Josh Regaith right at 8th. Al Kozlowski in 9th, with Gary Adamson down in 10th.
That's right. Brooks Durden's going to bring it home in 11th with Paul Olson in 12th. Chris D. Johnson and Frank Flores are not getting a start at all. Their nights coming to an untimely end before they even began. But Nolan, this was indeed an exciting Saturday night full of racing. Looks like Chris Severa's burning it down in the infield, and we're going to get ready for our post-race interviews.
And so, with all of that said and done, we can now reflect on what a thrilling race we had for us over there tonight. And we're going to see if we can't give it a little bit of a chat to some of the drivers that were up there on the podium. We'll start with the one taking a rather fiery Polish victory lap around the circuit. Chris Severa, your car at least was not smoking when you had to take that race win away from Noah Bitts with 2 to go. Tell us what it was like in those closing laps.
He definitely had me scared there with his pace at the end. I thought I had stayed out one too many laps. I was definitely coming on the green flag pit. I was definitely planning on staying out a little later to know. I didn't realize how many cars had actually undercut us at that time. And yeah, once I was able to pass Kenny, I was like, okay, let me set the sights on Noah. And Noah had definitely picked it up. And I was just like, man, I don't know if I'm going to get there or not. I was just telling myself not to thunderfoot it coming off one of them corners. I'm just so glad we got it done in time.
Now, long run pace certainly seemed to pay off for you here tonight, and obviously it could be long run pace that becomes the deciding factor on Martinsville in just 1 week. What's take as we get set to swing over to the other end of Virginia?
Yeah, definitely a lot less room on that track there. I don't think that's going to be as. I don't think I'm going to be as strong there. I really like the Richmond here. Got the banking to support me, so it's a lot less there. It's going to be an exciting race, though. Hopefully we get a little bit better of a turnout, but, you know, fitting even 15, 20 cars on that, you know, half-mile paperclip, that's exciting.
And obviously as we get set to get a little bit closer into the later portion of the season championship-wise, it's always going to be a a bit of an interesting run for you. You find yourself 5th place in points entering tonight's race. I imagine you'd be a little bit further up with the solid race win here tonight. Do you think you'll be able to give it a run at the top of the boards by season's end?
I think so. As long as we can consistently stay up there in the top 5, I definitely think we'll have a shot for something.
Well, thank you for joining us in here tonight. Chris, before I let you go, anybody you'd like to shout out for that number 62 car?
Yeah, Gas and Go, Rain Energy, EPI Industries for the setup. The set was fucking great in the middle of the corner. You guys, as always, Tucson Sound Art for sponsoring the series. We're for them. We wouldn't be able to do what we do on Saturday nights here. As always, you guys up in the booth, you guys do an amazing job. Really appreciate it.
And thank you for taking the time to join us here tonight then, Chris. Best of luck next week in Martinsville.
Thanks, guys.
For that, we're going to move it on down to our second place finisher, the driver that just came up about 2 laps short. And Al, you're standing by with Noah Bitts.
Hey, Noah, this is Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
I got you, sir.
Man, what a tough night for you guys at that front line car, man. You started this thing on the pole, and then you finished second in both stages and the third. I know that's just got to be a little disheartening, but what do you account for that?
Well, I wasn't sure how the car was going to act tonight. I know we got to make some changes getting into these races. They're a little bit different. But, I was just working with the car the whole night, and I felt like I did get better there at the end. But congrats to Chris. He had a hell of a car, drove a hell of a race. So good job.
Yeah, definitely. You had this thing dialed in, but it seems like that once you got around to the 35 laps or so, you kind of fall off. But awesome run for you. Are you excited and looking forward to Martinsville next week?
Yeah, I like Martinsville. I've done pretty good there in the past, and we're working on a set for it already. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed that it has a little bit better long run pace than what we could put in tonight.
Well, you definitely put in an awesome show tonight. Nothing to hang your head about. Exciting races for us up here in the booth to call. Before I let you go, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
Oh yeah, definitely Frontline and Brooks and everyone else who put in time to get this car going. Don't get me wrong, it's still a fast car. It just needed some more adjusting tonight for this race. But yeah, everyone at Frontline, thanks. Appreciate it. And Bruzy too, sponsoring the car.
Hey, Roger that, and thank you again for your time, sir. You have a great evening, and look forward to seeing you next week at Martinsville.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
And we're going to move on down now to the third driver on the podium, Kenny Powell. And, well, Kenny, you kind of finished in a bit of no man's land. It was 8 seconds up to the next car in front of you, about 5 to the one behind. So what was it like for you just kind of hot lapping around Richmond here tonight to finish third?
Yeah, I had a good car. I like Richmond. Just Noah and Chris, had that little bit extra. And so when it came to the middle of that lap or stage 3, just tried something different, pit strategy, see if I could get in front of them, stay in front of them, and that it worked in the beginning, but it caught up to me in the end, and they both got by me.
And, of course, strategy is a very big game when it comes to these short track races when fields can get a bit more spread out. Didn't quite work out for you here tonight in Richmond, but do you think you're a bit optimistic coming into Martinsville now that you've had this race to learn what it's like?
Martinsville is kind of like Talladega. It's more up to luck than it is skill, I think. You just got to be run a clean race, and hopefully nobody gets into you. And if that happens, I do like Martinsville. Hopefully get some long runs. We'll see what happens.
And of course, it's not the first time that we're going to be seeing a shorter run in the next few weeks, because right after that, we get set to go to Tennessee for some good old dirt track racing, and I think that's one of the true wild card races of the season at the Bristol Dirt Track. Do you got any hopes that you might be able to wrangle that car together on the dirt, or is that going to be more of a race of survival for you?
That's definitely going to be a race of survival. I'm new to dirt. I probably have only been on dirt probably 2 or 3 times, and one of those times was when we ran it here last season or 2, whenever we did that. So I'm not looking forward to the Bristol Dirt. I wish they would just cancel that and go on to the asphalt again.
Before I let you go then here, Kenny, anybody you'd like to shout out for that G&G 24 Camry?
Yeah, definitely Tucson Sound Art. You and Al and Rob behind the camera, and the guys at G&G put in a lot of work this week, and got me here. I appreciate it.
And thank you, Kenny, for joining us tonight. Best of luck next week in Martinsville.
All right, thank you.
And with all of that said and done, that is going to be all the time we're going to have for one night of more ISCA racing action for the Napa 200. For myself, Nola Rempel, along with Alfonso Nixon and Rob Meldick behind the cameras. Want to thank everybody for joining us for more ISCA Tucson Sound Art Cup Series action. We'll see you guys next week when we swing on over to the other end of Virginia to go racing in Martinsville.